Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In today's video going through my semi-finals tips of course. But first let's see how we did in week 1 of the AFL Final Series for 2024. Last week I ended up getting myself a 2 out of 4. So I didn't do okay. There weren't really that many upsets this round, but we start off at the Adelaide Oval and this definitely was an upset. Not in terms of Geelong winning, but by the margin. It was the Power 7-12, 54 to the Cats. 20 goals, 18. The Cats could have even won this by much more if they wanted, but they were outstanding, Geelong, and it just shows you that this year maybe they can actually go all the way. I don't think they are too old and too slow, because they've definitely proved a lot of people wrong here. And yeah, it was just a dominant performance from the Cats. Their intensity was just so much better throughout those 4 quarters throughout the game. They played consistent and fluent football. As for the Power, it's pretty disappointing in terms of the way they lost the game. Could this be another repeat of 2023 and other years, where they just have a really disappointing finish to their season in finals? They've done the hard work. They've finished second, so they better not let it slip against the Hawks, although they do have to play one of the most informed teams at the comp. But yeah, either way, really disappointing there for the Power, not only to drop the game, but, really just get thrashed, to be honest. And then on Friday night, we had the Hawks taking on the Dogs. This game was pretty good in terms of crowd numbers, but the game itself wasn't as good. But did go with the Hawks to win by 20. I just felt that their form would get the Dogs and they'd just be a little too good, but they actually won by 37, so I was almost going to get that close margin. But yeah, look, the crowd there was amazing. It just brings back those 2010 vibes, those mid-2010 vibes, those 2014, 2015, 2016 vibes when Hawthorn were good. There was a sea of yellow, sea of red and blue. It was just amazing. But yeah, credit to Hawthorn, because they are one of the most informed teams in the comp, and they certainly displayed that on Friday night. And the Bulldogs, their season comes to an end, and they had have won a couple of games earlier on in the season that they shouldn't have lost. I could think of one example where they lost a game to the Hawks where they really shouldn't have lost, and the Hawks went in good form, and that's where Hawthorn's form started, by winning that game. They shouldn't have lost that, and I remember I changed my tip. That probably would have got them into the top 4, because their percentage was certainly good, but unfortunately, because they dropped those couple of games early in the season, they had to play the informed Hawks in finals, and they got shown up, so that's what you get there for the Bulldogs. But no, Hawthorn were absolutely amazing, and they advanced through to the semis. Then on the Saturday primetime slot, we had the Giants and the Swans. This was the best game of the final series. I thought I'd go for the Giants upset, and it looked like it was going to happen. I generally thought that, the Giants would hold on at three-quarter time, especially with Adam Kingsley's 23-0 record with holding on when their Giants are in front at three-quarter time. But the Swans, you could just tell they were coming, and yes, they had another poor start, but they just played their best football, and now they are really back in form. And, I think we've gained a lot more confidence for them heading into the prelims, and they could probably win it this year too. So they'll host a prelim against either Port Adelaide or Hawthorn, but no, it was a close game. I get the correct scoreline, but not the correct result. So yeah, I think the Giants, though, against Brisbane next week, it's going to be tough, so we'll get to that soon. But yeah, credit to the Swans there for coming back and winning a close one. Absolute thriller at the SCG. Then we finished off with a pretty boring game between Brisbane and Carlton, with the Lions by 22. They actually won by 28, so get the correct result and scoreline. This game sort of went how I expected it. Certainly not with the start. I think Brisbane were up 60-0. It was incredible. It was looking like Blues weren't even going to score. I think it took them a quarter and three-quarters of a quarter to actually get a score. I think it took them 1 quarter and 16 minutes, which is absolutely incredible from the Lions. Now, there was a stage throughout the third quarter where Carlton were actually looking like they were going to come back. I think they'd keep 3 in a row. But no, Brisbane in the end were just way too strong. And yeah, injury depleted blue side just got shown up. And yeah, pretty disappointing start from Carlton to this game. But Brisbane, they're just too good, and they'll face GWS in a semi-final. So that being said, let's head over to the semi-finals. Alright, sorry about that transition, but turns out that Super Brew did not have the semi-finals released yet, and I went on to ESPN, which is a website that I used to tip on last year. Obviously, I haven't tipped on it for a while, and the games are there, so I thought I could just wait and do it on Super Brew another day, but I do want to sort of get this video out by tomorrow, on Monday. That's my usual time slot uploading. So I'm just going to do it on ESPN, and yeah, sorry about that. Transition over, and we start off on Friday night at the Adelaide Oval between Port Adelaide and the Hawks. Now, the Hawks are officially the most informed team in the comp. You know, you get rid of the Bulldogs, and if they can knock off the Power, who are on some decent form after last week, they are definitely the best team in it. And, you know, if they do beat the Power, there is that belief that they can generally go all the way. If they do win this, they'll have to face, if either side wins this, they'll face Sydney, which is pretty cool. Obviously, for them, it's going to be a tough task if they want to go ahead and win this. So, obviously, the Power last week were pretty disappointing against the Cats. Obviously, they just couldn't really get the ball, and, you know, their intensity wasn't as good as theirs. And the Hawks, they were just so strong, much better than the Dogs. And that being said, so this is a match up that really is bigs versus smalls. It's the Hawthorn's small young talent versus Port Adelaide's big tools. You know, you got likes of Aaliyah, you know, all those guys. But, yeah, look, the Power certainly do not want to lose this. Because they lose this, it will be back-to-back straight sets for them. And that definitely would put a lot of pressure on Kenningley. Will they go out in straight sets? I think this is going to be a close one at the Adelaide Oval. But for me, I just think Power will win. I know a lot of people are going with Hawthorn, but I just think this is their last opportunity. If they don't win this, you know, I don't think Kenningley will be sacked or anything like that, because they had a good finish on the ladder. But you're finishing second. You just don't want to go out in straight sets. It's going to be a tough task, but this is the last time I'm going to back him in. I know it's at the Adelaide Oval, and I know they have been losing games, these big finals at the Adelaide Oval lately, but I think they can generally win this. So I'm going to say that the Power win this. They even beat Hawthorn earlier in the year, obviously, with that late second goal. And, you know, if Hawthorn had won that, they probably could have been in the top four, especially with their percentage looking at it now. But for me, I'm just going to go with the Power off gut feel. I don't know why. I just feel like Hawthorn's run will officially come to an end. And I just feel like the Power, this is their last opportunity to get revenge. Also, Sam Frost has been revealed to be out for the rest of the season, so that does hurt Hawthorn. Let's go with the Power to win by 14 points at the Adelaide Oval. I think it'll be a close affair, but for me, I don't know, I just feel like we'll see a response with Port Adelaide, but I'm certainly not convinced. And yeah, so we'll go with the Power there unconvincingly, but we'll go with them by 14 points at the Adelaide Oval to advance through to the prelims against Sydney Swans. Then our next final is between GWS and Brisbane at NG Stadium. This is the first final we will be seeing at NG Stadium since 2019, so that's pretty exciting for the Giants hosting a home final, because obviously in 2021 they finished 7th, so they had to play in away finals, and and last year they finished 7th as well, so they had to play all those home away finals. This year they finished 4th, so they played an away final at the SCG against Sydney, but they are at home now because they did lose to Sydney, and now they are in the prelims up against the Brisbane Lions side, who really, again, are in some good form. They did drop those couple of games late, but again, accuracy just has been the major issue for Brisbane, you know, and if they are inaccurate against the Giants, you know, that the Giants certainly going to pull away. You know, you look at teams like Carlton, who they were inaccurate against, Collingwood, they were inaccurate against. You know, these good sides will beat up on them if you are inaccurate, and Lions were really inaccurate. You know, I think they've had a combined behind tally of like 50 behinds or something crazy like that in their last few games. So it was really disappointing accuracy-wise for Brisbane, but they did come up against Carlton comfortably. And another issue for the Lions is that they have been able to let teams back into the game. You know, even when the game is over, you know, they just lose a bit of percentage. Obviously, percentage doesn't matter in the finals, but they sort of let teams, you know, look like they're coming back a bit. They sort of do end up winning. We saw it this year against the Saints. They choked to Collingwood this year. Who else did they choke to? The Giants, actually, they choked to in those last few rounds. And then against Carlton, they let them get on like a 3 to 4 goal run. So they definitely won't want to do that against the Giants if they do start off well. As for the Giants, well, I don't think you can really take much out of that game against Sydney. Obviously, they did give up a pretty disappointing lead at three-quarter time, which was disappointing, but the Swans probably were going to run away with it in the end anyway. Look, I think this should be a relatively tough game to tip. Now, most tipsters are going with the Giants 70 to 30%. And I think I'm just going to join that 70%. I just can't see Giants going out in straight sets. I know they're playing a Brisbane side, which really, after how they started off and they played in those first few quarters against Carlton, they probably, could equally be the favourites up there with Sydney. But I just think the Giants, it's not the Orange Tsunami way to go out in straight sets. I don't think that loss against Sydney told us much, but I think they'll respond and they'll get a win and they'll end Brisbane's season. Let's go with the Giants to win by exactly 3 goals. We'll say they win it by 18 points and they advance through to the prelims against the Cats. So those are my tips. Obviously, they're just the 2 games this week, but these should be pretty good games to watch out for. So on the Friday night, with the Power by 14, and then the Giants over the Lions by 18 points. That is going to wrap it up for this video. If you did enjoy, please do hit the like and subscribe button, and we will see you in the next video.